Here today to engage the youth of our country. I thank the National Youth Authority and all the organizers of this event for devoting their time and resources to making it a reality, and to all gathered here for joining us in the Garden City as we launch the National Youth Volunteers Program. As we know, in our country, we have so much more to do. We are still a developing economy. There's so much that needs to be done for us to develop. We also have a lot of people who have the knowledge, who have some experience, who have a lot of enthusiasm. But formal employment only employs a fraction of the people that have these skills. And so there is a gap that we often see between what needs to be done and the people who have the capacity to do it. We are not able to bring them together. And we have to recognize that it's not only through formal employment that we can get the things that we need done. And this is where the spirit of volunteerism comes in. It is John F. Kennedy, the former and late President of the United States, who said that, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And volunteerism is really asking that question. What can you do for Ghana? What can you do for our country? That is the question that is being put to the youth. The launch of the National Youth Volunteers Program under the theme, Mobilizing Youthful Hearts for Volunteer Service in National Development, offers all of us, particularly the youth, the opportunity to chart a new course of action for our country and various communities. Your Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, it was exciting to know that the National Youth Volunteers Program seeks to establish a vibrant culture of volunteerism in Ghana as a means to rekindle the flames of patriotism, propriety, discipline, and civic responsibility within the youth. By providing a coordinated framework for streamlining volunteerism activities, the National Youth Volunteer Program provides an avenue for the young Ghanaian to contribute their quota to national development by fixing the problems right from their communities all the way to the national level. And so the main goals of the National Youth Volunteer Program is to develop active citizens. So you want to make sure our citizens are active, as the president will say, they are not spectators, but they are involved. To foster national cohesion, because you can volunteer in any part of the country. You can go and teach from any part of the country. You can move from Ashanti and you have the skills and there's a need in Volta, you can go. There's a need in the Upper West, you can go. You can go from the Upper West and go to OT to offer a service. It gives national cohesion. And we are putting together, the National Youth Authority is putting together this framework under this major program, the framework for streamlining all these activities. The Youth Volunteer Program also creates opportunities for skills development. Because when you volunteer to do something, even if it is something you know how to do, just the practice of doing it over and over again enhances your skills. Skills development. But you may not have skills in something, but you volunteer and you apprentice in something and you learn the skills. So the opportunities to develop active citizens, foster national cohesion, and create opportunities for skills development are critical aspects of the National Youth Volunteer Program. The program will therefore create a generation of Ghanaian political and thought leaders, traditional and religious leaders, entrepreneurs, and people of all professions and trades who can envision the grand agenda for Ghana and work hard to address the structural challenges that impede our journey to our glorious destination. The program, as you have been told, aims to empower about 100,000 youth over the next 5 years. And it has 13 different modules. And so that your interests, you can find a match for your interests to volunteer in health and well-being, agriculture, education, infrastructure, youth and gender development, environment, climate change and disaster risk management, sports and recreation, science, research and technology module, arts and culture, entrepreneurship and mentorship, governance, conflict prevention and peace building, and the care module. The diversity of the modules under the program will ensure that no able and willing youth, regardless of your gender, level of education, social or economic status, religion, or any other, is denied the opportunity to serve their country and to develop their creative potential. I am particularly excited about the prospects of the Science, Research and Technology module, which is slated for implementation. This will permit gifted young Ghanaians to leverage new technologies to provide lasting solutions to the myriad of challenges in communities across the country. And for the young people, volunteerism is very, very important. It is important for you when you volunteer and have that experience of volunteering, when later you apply for a formal job. That volunteerism is on your CV, because it takes a person with a particular type of heart, patriotism, willingness to volunteer your skills, your time to do a job for somebody, not for you, but you are helping somebody. When that is in your CV and you apply for a job, I'm telling you, if your competitors don't have that, you have an advantage over them. When you also later are applying to universities, some of the best universities in the world you can apply to, your volunteerism is also going to play a role, an important role into whether you get admission into those universities or not. It's very, very important. And also, of course, as I said, you are acquiring skills, but your mental state is also helped very much by the fact that you are active, you are doing things. If you are not using your time to volunteer, and you are not in formal employment, there's a likelihood that you are going to be idle and maybe end up in very socially adverse activities, or activities that are not socially desirable, or criminal activities, because you have too much time on your hands, and the devil, as they say, will find a job for idle hands. I was looking at the data on the countries in the world where you have the most volunteerism. And it's very interesting because the countries where you see a lot of volunteerism tend to be the very wealthy, rich countries. You really think that these have solved most of their problems. But you have a lot of volunteerism. The United States is leading, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, France, Norway, the Netherlands, Ireland, Japan, and Germany. And you see that many of them go to the developing countries, come to Ghana, for example, to try to offer their help to us in various villages, to teach and all of that. And the data, the estimates that has been made in many countries where you have very active volunteerism taking place, that volunteerism can contribute as much as 2.4% of a country's GDP. That is huge. That is huge. So I think that it is very, very important for us as a country to implement this national youth volunteer program. We will have a structured program, and it is very, very important for our country because we have a lot to do. We shouldn't just wait for volunteers to come from other countries to do the things that we have the capacity to do ourselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, our government, as far as the youth is concerned, we're very, very active in trying to make sure we prepare the youth for the future. This is why we have free senior high school education, we have free TVET education, we also have a major program in providing technical and vocational equipment and schools and so on to our educational facilities. Furthermore, government has rolled out a number of initiatives to equip graduates with the needed skills required for the job market in the future. And some of the initiatives include the ongoing stakeholder engagement for skills revitalization in several sectors of the economy. For example, the banking sector is engaging in skills development for thousands of youth over the next 3 years. In the tourism and arts and culture sector, the target is to train and certify 10,000 persons on specific tourism and hospitality skills by 2023. There's an ongoing construction and modernization of all national vocational training institutes and opportunity industrialization centers. So far, 17 technical and vocational institutes across the country are being upgraded and modernized, and we have a target of 52 in all to do. The You Start program, which is an initiative which will support young entrepreneurs to gain access to capital, training, technical skills, and mentoring to launch and operate their own businesses. Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these investments show our commitment to delivering a Ghana beyond aid, and also our obligation to deliver the sustainable development goals with a human development approach, ensuring that no one is left behind. We have before us an opportunity to change the narrative of what the Ghanaian youth is about, and in doing so, change the narrative around our country and our continent. We must, however, bear in mind that the wheels of change need oil. To this end, the infrastructure module, which is among the modules for implementation, calls on young Ghanaians to commit their energies to build classrooms, clinics, and help fill the infrastructure gap in rural Ghana. We must mirror their vigor by making available the needed materials to help them. And I therefore implore corporate Ghana to dig into their corporate social responsibility budgets to support this noble venture. Your Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I wish to commend Asanteman for the incredible show of support during the World Cup qualifiers for the last 2 weeks at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. You provided a shining example of results that can be achieved when citizens commit their time, energy, and resources to the progress of their country. And it was the first match where we used digital tickets in the country. And the digital tickets got us the highest revenue for a sports match in the history of the country. So yesterday, Asante Kotoko played hearts. And it was the second match where digital tickets were used. And they got the highest revenue in any match between Hearts and Kotoko yesterday. In fact, yesterday, the increase in revenue was 103% above the last revenue in the last match. 103%. So I can tell you, digitization can fight corruption. I also commend again the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the National Youth Authority for all the work you have put into transforming the National Youth Volunteers Program from a concept into a reality. This is a big program, and I wish you success. I hope this program provides the model for our sub-Saharan African neighbors and beyond to follow. We are doing great things in Ghana, God bless our homeland Ghana and make her straight.
The death of our traditional values has left room for an indifference about the welfare of the country, and unfortunately, the youth appear to be at the center of this decline. The elevation of self above the public interest is becoming acceptable and even worthy of celebration in youthful cortexes. And contempt for the rule of law and national and traditional authority is gradually becoming commonplace. The industry and innovation that once defined Ghanaian life has been replaced by a certain entitlement which justifies activities such as fraud, illegal mining, political vigilantism, joining laggards, and other vices as acceptable consequences of being denied handouts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is certainly not within the province of Ghanaianness. It ill behoves us that we have allowed these attitudes to take root within our society. It will reflect on us worse still if we allow this rot to fester. Nana Chairman, as a National Youth Authority, we accept responsibility for this. Our enabling act, the National Youth Authority Act 2016, Act 939, entrusts us with the responsibility to ensure that the 11,782,614 Ghanaians between the ages of 15 and 35 are imbibed with the spirit of discipline, creativity, nationalism, patriotism, and a sense of propriety and civic responsibility to ensure their participation in national development. It therefore falls on us to enforce a seismic shift in the attitudes that we are seeing today. We believe that the volunteerism provides the perfect avenue to instigate this change, ergo the National Youth Volunteer Program. Nana Chair, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today we begin the process of mobilizing youthful hearts for volunteer service in national development. We have embarked on this process because we believe that lodged deep in the heart of the Ghanaian youth is a desire to see this country prosper and a zest to partake in the action which will bring about that prosperity. These energies, if carefully managed and properly invested, will make the Ghanaian youth today attuned with that ethic of service and counter the wickedness that has reared its head in our society. Under the banner of the NYVP, we shall organize the youth to apply their faculties, energies, and abilities to sectors where they are needed the most to drive national development one community at a time. We shall ensure that service takes its rightful place at the center of our activities as Ghanaians. Right from the homes to the national scene, the NYVP will see young people applying innovative solutions to the problems which hamper our development and project the black star of Africa in its right light. NYVP will provide an institutional framework to modernize volunteerism in Ghana and to streamline activities within the sector to ensure that resources, both material and human, are being maximized to address the specific challenges in our various communities. With about 13 models to choose from, the NYVP will ensure that all Ghanaians, male or female, educated or uneducated, irrespective of economic or social class, belief or creed, have the opportunity to participate in nation building. The program shall further address the supposed gap that exists between the skills needed in industry and the skills that the youth possess by providing the space for volunteers to perfect their craft by allowing them to adapt to the real conditions of their respective fields whilst being able to rely on the support, knowledge and expertise of more experienced workers in the field. In so doing, we shall build a self-reliant, persevering young Ghanaian who will not flee in search of better life elsewhere because the going is tough. But who will put in the work to ensure that posterity have it easier? That Ghanaian who Dr. J.B. Dankwa foresaw would become, and I quote, a pioneer in the complete and total industrialization of our country's resources. In keeping with this visionary mission of the NYVP, the program has been designed to correspond with our continental and global development aspirations, including the promotion of quality health, SDG 3, Agenda 2063, Goal 3, inclusive and quality education, SDG 4, Agenda 2063, Goal 2, gender equality, SDG 5, Agenda 2063, Goal 17, infrastructure and innovation, SDG 9, Agenda 2063, Goal 10, amongst many others. We expect that in the next 5 years, 100,000 young Ghanaians would have enrolled onto the program. Nanache, to serve as its building blocks, 3 strategically selected modules will be available for selection in the first phase of implementation of the program. They are the agriculture module, the education module, and the infrastructure module. Recognizing the transformation potential of agribusiness, the agriculture module will introduce the use of modern practices in agriculture across the beneficiary communities and will equip volunteers in the field with skills to boost yields in the communities during their time of service and to leverage the many opportunities along the agri-business value chain to drive the industrialization agenda. The education module will address the gaps in our education system by dispatching volunteers to assist our hardworking teachers in underserved areas and post those who are qualified to substantive classes to fill gaps in relevant subject areas. Finally, the infrastructure model will engage volunteers to assist in the construction and rehabilitation of critical infrastructure in beneficiary communities such as schools, clinics, community centers, libraries, and other such projects to ensure that brick by brick we are building the Ghana we want. I must at this point pay homage to some figures whose support has allowed this launch to happen and whose continued support will ensure the program is an abiding success. I wish to express my gratitude and the gratitude of the governing board and the management of the National Youth Authority and the Ministry of Youth and Sports to His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II for not only hosting us today, but for accepting to chair today's lunch and be the life patron of the program. We owe a debt of gratitude to His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, as represented by the matchless Vice President H.E. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, for the immeasurable support of the Presidency towards this launch. Your Excellency the Vice President, the youth of Ghana take notice of your unalloyed interest in the matters that concern us and your quick and prompt response anytime we call on you, sometimes even at ungodly hours. We are especially grateful to our principal sponsor for understanding the vision of the NYVP and taking the next steps to provide for the actualization of this vision. I take this opportunity to especially appeal to corporate Ghana and our development partners to throw their weight behind the National Youth Volunteers Program and support the implementation and expansion of the program. We cannot bemoan the decline in the values of our society and stand idle at this seminal moment when we are called to do something about it. We must understand that like a complex machine, the different processes and functions of diverse constituent parts all work for a desired or common outcome. Therefore, whilst our volunteers go into the field and build our infrastructure, educate our children, and boost our yields, it is up to us, industry, it is up to us, development partners, it is up to it is up to us, philanthropic Ghana, to provide the necessary financial support so that together we can achieve the common goal of national development. And now to my colleagues, the young people of this country. In his inaugural address, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo emphasized that citizens should be at the center of the change we want to see and charged us to be, I quote, citizens, not spectators. Citizens, not subjects. To be an active citizen goes beyond mere commentary on Facebook or mere commentary on radio about current affairs and requires that we look around us and take responsibility for the problems we see which are within our capacity to fix. To that extent, I urge you to imagine the future of your dreams, the end game of your aspirations and goals, and to revel in the knowledge that your future dream for yourself is inextricably linked to the future of our country. Your success stories will necessarily be masterstrokes in the fine art that is the Ghanaian success story. I therefore employ you, my colleagues, to take charge of our own destiny by ensuring that the Ghana of the future is the Ghana that works, is the Ghana that we are building currently. I do not intend to suggest that you do not understand what is due you, for you are due accountability, respect, and an enabling environment to thrive. But we must appreciate that the relationship between the government and the governed and the state and the citizen is a reciprocal one. And even as you ask what your country can do for you, you must be willing to ask what you can do for your country. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make this device a model for the uniform progress of all of Africa. And I thank you very much.